Good evening this time. It's not the morning and it is a Thursday, and you will see this on a Friday morning. This is a recording this time. It's not live, but I'm just happy to welcome you back to You Change the World. You can find this show on all the social media channels that you are used to, the YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, X, Twitter, and Facebook, and also Spotify for the podcast side of it. But please subscribe to YouTube, subscribe to wherever you can, and also give me some feedback. I really need your feedback. It's been now a few years, I think probably three. Soon we're going to have our third anniversary of You Change the World, and we have guests and we have different approaches to leadership and to all the challenges that leaders, managers, and people in the workplace are facing every day. Based on what? Based on the coaching, especially that I have the pleasure and privilege to perform every day with people that are of all walk of life and who have all those challenges. And really, I can say that again, something extremely mystical I want to share with you, but it's true, is that there is a theme on a day that is showing up. If I have three, four, maybe six, sometimes even eight sessions, I will have something dominant for that day. If I say four sessions of eight or five sessions of eight, usually 80% of the sessions will have the same theme. I'm not calling for the themes of the sessions. The clients do. And then I see, wow, amazingly, today was about confrontations and difficult conversations, or today was about, performing on stage and having public speaking challenges or fear and introversions and things of that kind. Or it could be just something about, a relationship managing up and facing changes and facing usually a change like a reorganization, and how to face and how to really have the right posture and especially the right approach. It's not me to give any advice. I'm just a coach. I'm just listening actively. And I'm probably finding when I'm listening to my clients that they are not listening to themselves. And thanks to that, they can really kind of understand where they're coming from and where they can go to be the best of themselves. And one theme this week has been communication. Maybe that's the theme that's the easiest one to say that it's common between everyone, because communication is really a challenge for everybody. Today, to convey your message and to be received with your message is not always very easy. Sometimes you really need to validate that you have been received, that you have been understood, that whatever you conveyed out there was received. And if someone really wants to communicate efficiently, it's as simple as that. Are you hearing what I'm saying, or am I listening to what you're saying? Am I paying attention? Am I giving credit to or to your point of view, at least to the extent that I'm listening and respecting your point of view? Now, in mediation, where I was much more active in mediation than I am right now, because I'm busy with coaching, and also I prefer coaching to mediation. Be honestly, honestly, especially when mediation is about divorce cases. When it's business cases, I find myself better. But if it's divorce, it's emotional. Sometimes I find this to be extremely difficult to bear, even for the mediator to listen to people fighting and sometimes really fighting very hard. But the core of all the disputes that I have seen and I have mediated, I think the core source, the reason, the root cause of the dispute and of the confrontation is bad communication. It's a lack of, are you listening to the other person's point of view? For 20 years, for 30 years in a marriage, a couple will not listen to each other. That's that's mind-boggling, but it is what human beings are capable of doing. So we are at this point today in our daily, lives, to have this absolute obligation. I think it's an obligation that as soon as you're interacting with someone and you're communicating, to maybe see the value of this communication first, to really kind of wait, WEIGHT, the magnitude of and the importance of this communication. It's interesting. Sometimes, is very important occasions and very important moments that you know are very formal. If you're in a trial, or if you are a witness, or if you are testimonials, or any kind of formal presence that you have, then you know you have to pay attention. You have to be very focused and watch what you're saying, and eventually even think about what you are going to say before you open your mouth. That's one thing, because you know you're in this kind of format. It's pretty clear, and when you enter that space, you're very disciplined, you're very focused. But you think that in every day, when you laid back or you just disconnect with this kind of formality, you feel that, I can be relaxed, I can just be myself and let the moment, unfold like it does. But it's not a very good idea. And that's not the first time you hear me telling you that being intentional in how you are perceived is, in fact, the key to good communication. I repeat myself here. To be intentional about the way you are going to be perceived, understood, not necessarily judged, but understood for what you want to convey about yourself, about the message you want to convey, about the leadership you have, the direction you want to give to a team, to a one person, the training that you are providing and you want the person to learn, the teaching, right? All this kind of proactive muscle of using this privilege of a human being, beyond animals, which is to speak, right? Okay, parakeets are speaking, but they're repeating. And it's not really a language. But when you speak a language and you communicate and you're given this incredible gift, if you are capable and you have all the capabilities to do so, you can communicate. And even if this person would be unable to by handicap, that person would have a way to communicate. And the writing communication, of course, is also a very intentional act and a responsible act. So, listen, I'm saying very simplistic things, but they are very crucial, especially in the world of the workplace and especially in the world of leadership, because you want to have impact, you want to have an influence. So, this is why efficient communication is about all of those different rules. And really, I think that in this particular program called You Change the World, your communication is definitely one conduit to change the world. And to be efficient in that communication is incredibly, incredibly crucial for your success and for everybody's success around you. Now, communication is not only for one person, it can be for an audience. It's not for us, it's not for the one who communicates, it's for the one who's going to be listening or is going to be watching you. That's a gift. It's an act of giving. And you can always validate what you give by asking, you know, is it understood? Is my act changing something in your understanding? Do you get or do you gain something? Is there a walk away, something you take away? So not walk away, take away from me. It's an incredible gift. It's an act of giving. Again, an act of giving. That's what I think communication is. Now, when it's intentional, when you have a desired outcome for that message that you are formulating, of course, then it serves a purpose and it has a kind of clarity about it, an inspiring root about it. It really can engage, it can mobilize, it can calm down someone, it can open a dialogue. Those factors are all, you know, positive energies that you can kind of distribute in the space where you are. Without intention, word can be only just noise, reactive words, impulsive words, emotional words, right? When you don't control, when you're not monitoring this moment, this very second, and you let something go out of your mouth, and it can be slander, it can be insulting, it can be gross, it can be just vulgar, whatever you want that to be. If you control it and you start being intentional about it, wow, it becomes excellence, it becomes articulate, it becomes a reflection of who you are. It's incredibly true. And then listening is also part of an efficient communication. Active listening, focus, this undivided moment I have with you, in fact, that connects you to real, um, a dimension that is not the usual one. Looking for the word, and I just don't know why I don't like it. I don't find it, but it is connecting to, it's connecting you really to something big, right? You really become part of this person's life, and you are adding and contributing, adding value and contributing, and that brings, this person that you are into this particular interaction, and whatever that is, a conference, a meeting, a public speaking event, whatever that is, you are responsible again, but this time for one or for many people, about what you want to convey. Then I think that what happens when communication is neglected, you can all guess. It's going to be misunderstandings, conflicts, uh, bitterness, anger. It's going to be kept against you. It's in the the non-told, the non-spoken, and sometimes it remains in the air. And everything. There's people who believe that every word that you're saying remain for eternity. Can you imagine that? And they are in the walls, right? They live and stay where they are forever. If this would be true, just think about it. Every word. There's other things that also say that someone comes to this life with a certain number of words that are counted for a lifetime. Can you imagine if there is really a quantitative aspect about the number of words that you are going to be saying for an entire life, that it's counted for each individual, there is a number of words that they are, in fact, have the capacity to say. So it's better to be careful about what you're saying, right? It's better to kind of even consider every word as a gem, as something that really you keep very preciously before you release it and before you give it out. Wow, right? I'm pushing it. I'm pushing it, and I apologize to do so because you must feel terrible when I hear this, when I say that. But who knows? What I'm saying comes from very, very deep and very, very ancient. It's the Bible. It's things that are very old and very established, and come from God for those who believe it. So I'm not joking you here. Finally, I have some practical examples I always try to share. And I will use one that, in fact, made me a mediator that could reconcile two parties that were really in big conflict. And sometimes we give a title to those conflicts, which is a big, big conflict. And it was a divorce case. And this couple came back together because they realized that they never communicated with each other for an entire time of their marriage, which was over 22 years. And they had three children, and they came back together. I'm not saying that it's due to me. It's just an awareness they didn't have through three sessions of mediation. Three. I just had to use a paper clip, a clipboard, and really put two columns and really make them very aware of each one's position and each one's expectations. It's a good thing to do, by the way, for any kind of conflict or any kind of misunderstanding. You just write down all the points that one party wants and the other part wants on the other side. And now you compare that. Sometimes you're going to see when they communicate it in isolation with me alone, and then they communicate it with each other. There are two different versions, two different ways, because there is an influence of, again, anger, emotional influence that tricks the whole thing. When it is true, when it comes from the heart, and you write it down with the words that they say, because I don't change any word. They are the words that comes out of their mouth. And they realize what, in fact, how much they agree and are really in very, very good terms, in other words. But they just kind of followed the path of emotion and completely lost control. And this is what they realized. You find this very amazing? I also found it amazing, but it's true. When they realized that, they connected the dots somehow and came back together. That's the story I wanted to share because it's a beautiful story. And it happened maybe 5 years ago, right before COVID, so 6 or 7 years ago already. I have a big difficulty with sense of time. But anyway, I think it's enough to tell you how much this communication skill that you can develop every single day is important, is crucial to your success and to also the well-being of whoever lives with you and around you, and especially in the workplace, if you are a leader and you are having influence around you and for the people that work with you, for you, or you work for, and all the stakeholders around you, communication, when it's intentional, when it's calculated a little bit more than you are doing, and when you are kind of in control of this moment and preparing a little bit yourself so that this moment becomes, in fact, meaningful. And also, don't forget, someone comes to you, wants to tell you something, and you are distracted by something else. Give that person a signal that maybe this is not exactly the right time now to have this moment communicating. If it's not the right time to connect with that person, it's better to wait for the time when it is the moment. And I think that it's also an important thing to feel, to understand, and to put in place. So, all those little ideas that I'm sharing with you today, and I hope they are going to mean something for you. I will leave you with a sentence, a quote from Edmondson, because I think he has always, he has always a good thing to say, and it's that the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place, and in fact, it's an illusion. You have to be very sure that it's not, and it's reality. I leave you with that. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next week.